It's a chance for 30 young men to launch a professional career. The NTX International Combine from Duncanville, Texas. We will bring you 2 exhibition games both today and tomorrow as these 30 players, separated into 4 teams, will look to make their mark in front of NBA and international scouts. Right here at the Duncanville Fieldhouse alongside Dave Benz. My name is Evan Weston. Thank you so much. Dave, you spent 10 years calling games in the NBA. You understand what it takes to get from where these guys are to get to the show, even just to start that professional career in the G League internationally. What opportunity is in front of these young men today?
This is a giant first step for these guys. Some of them already played in the Portsmouth Invitational a couple of weeks ago in Virginia. All of them are hoping to get invited to Chicago at the NBA Draft Combine, which is in 2 weeks. There's also going to be the G League Elite Camp, which is a couple days before that in Chicago. So these guys are trying to open some eyes. They're trying to get invited to those very illustrious exhibitions in Chicago, chance to put their skills on display and really get a chance to get into the NBA. But also, you say this is the International Combine, and that is because a lot of these guys also know they're probably going to end up playing overseas in Europe. And there are international scouts here that are going to be watching this the next couple of days and are going to decide whether or not, hey, that's somebody we want to invite to come play over in Europe. And certainly a lot of guys have made pretty good bank playing overseas professionally during their career.
They certainly have, and a lot of guys have made that leap from this tournament over the last couple of seasons. For more on that, we'll go over to Kendra Sheehan.
Thanks, Evan. Yeah, if you look at NTX Combine's website, there are 56 players that have been listed that have received contracts overseas and NBA G League contracts as well. Most notably, Marcus Burke, who is now on the Grand Rapids Gold. That's the NBA G League affiliate to the Denver Nuggets. He's played in the 2022-23 season over 29 games with averaging over 7 points a game, as well as Manny Camper, also on that Rapids Gold NBA G League team, and he's averaging 5 boards a contest. So this is a chance for guys to gain exposure and gain those contracts to play that professional basketball that they've dreamed as a kid. Looking forward to showing off some of these great talents today. Evan?
Thank you, Kendra. As we take a look at the warm-ups taking place now, and so our first game will feature a team coached by Sean Respert. Will be the Spurs. They'll be in blue, taking on Mo Evans' Grizzlies team in white. And Dave, with these combines, you've got a lot of players from various programs. There are actually a pair of teammates on the Spurs roster, but in general, these guys are not familiar with each other, don't know how each other likes to play, and you've got the added pressure of wanting to impress the scouts. So what kind of basketball are we expecting to see here today?
Well, that is the $64 million question, because these guys, listen, part of being able to make it in the NBA and make it at another level is showing that you can be a good teammate. You're willing to sacrifice for your team. But in this situation, you're trying to impress with your athletic ability, with your court awareness, and there's no question these guys don't have names on the back of their jerseys, but if they did, they'd be playing more for the names on the back of their jerseys today. So, and listen, this is the time that I want to see players be a little bit selfish. And being selfish doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be ball dominant and then I'm going to just try to score every time. It could be I'm going to be selfish by setting good screens and getting rebounds, but you need to be out there and be assertive no matter what and try to show that, hey, you've got the ability to be able to make a difference at the next level.
Yep, Team 1 will be in blue, Team 2 will be in white. Guys hoping to make a difference at that next level here today. And when we look at these two rosters, a couple of names stick out. On Team 1, the Spurs team, Craig Porter Jr., third team AAC last year at Wichita State. This guy has one of the crazier stat lines you will see among a college player. He does everything.
He really does do everything. He led Wichita State in rebounds, blocks, steals, assists. Was second in points. And he really opened some eyes at the Portsmouth Invitational. He had 10 steals in 3 games in Portsmouth a couple of weeks ago. That tied the record for the tournament all time. In 70 years of games being played, nobody has had more steals through 3 games. So he's opened some eyes, and he can impact the game a lot of different ways. You know, some of the scouts that I've seen analyzing him have talked a little bit about, hey, he's a great shooter, he's a good playmaker, he rebounds well, he defends well, he's a plus athlete. They're a little bit concerned about him being perhaps a little bit undersized at 6'2", and he can be a little bit streaky. So that's the thing you're going to look out for with Craig Porter Jr., but he's a guy who is on a lot of people's radar after what he did in Portsmouth.
6'2" and a block and a half a game, not so bad at Wichita State either. Meanwhile, on the other side for Team 2 in the white, you have a look at Jalen Moore. He's undersized, 5'11", but this guy is a grinder. He played more minutes per game than any college player in the last 15 years.
Yeah, he's played a lot of minutes, and he was number 2 overall this year at 37.6. He missed 3 games because of injury this past year at Oakland, but you talk about a guy who played 3 years at Oakland. He played a couple of years of junior college ball, was 3rd in the Horizon League in scoring. He's a guy who is definitely going to be trying to open some eyes. He led the NCAA in assists per game 2 years ago in the 2021 season. Wasn't too shabby this year either. 5.6 assists a game. Was 18th in D1 at that level this past season. So, you talk about Jalen Moore. He's a guy. There's a look at Craig Porter warming up. We just talked about him. Jalen Moore wearing number 12 on the other side for the Grizzlies today. We'll see what kind of impact he can make here today. 7
guys on each team, so they're going to play a lot. We'll talk a little bit about the format here. We are going to play 40-minute games with a halftime in between, taking about 5 minutes of the 2 20-minute halves. And then we'll have our second game between teams 3 and 4, which will be the Sixers and Rockets rosters, which have 8 players apiece. That one coming up at 3:05, and we'll be with you the whole way as we take you the NTX International Combine. First game coming up in just a few minutes. We'll have the horn and get everybody set for huddles. And one thing to look for, too, in these games is the ability to play with others, even though sometimes you are playing on the back of your jersey. How much do scouts weigh that in?
That's a great question, and I don't know that really comes into play so much in a combine like this. I think that's going to be something more. Listen, all of these guys have been scouted already in their team concepts with their Division I teams. All of these guys have come from playing big-time Division I college basketball for a number of years. So many of them at more than one program. In fact, with today's transfer portal rules, there's probably less than 5 guys that played collegiately at just one school throughout. So they know what kind of teammates they are. They want to see the athletic ability. They want to see what they can do. They want to see, are they worth bringing to summer league? Are they worth, sending a training camp invite to? And then you can evaluate there what kind of teammates they are in that setting. But I don't think it's as important. Sure, you can impress a scout by doing the right thing, but this is all about the athleticism and the ability to be able to impact the game.
Well, here's an opportunity, 40 minutes in front of these 14 young men to show out. In fact, you mentioned it, not a single one of these 14 players spent their entire time at the same school. It's a new world now with the transfer portal. We got a lot of grad seniors. A lot of guys in this game will be 23, 24 years old, have been around the block. So these are guys that have been there in the college game, have seen a lot, and are ready to start their professional careers, whether it's in the NBA, in the G League, overseas. We'll see exactly where everybody lands. But an opportunity to get in front of scouts and show them exactly what they can do today.
And that is the one thing, Evan, that you mentioned, the fact that the one thing working against some of these guys in this camp is these guys have all been through the college system. And not that that's a negative. I'm not knocking the college system at all. But there's no question the age comes into play with a lot of these guys. The fact that you got some of them 24, 25 years old that are playing here today. A lot of NBA teams in today's day and age, they might think, sure, this guy could come make an impact right now, but unless they're an absolute superstar, they'd more likely be, hey, let's take a chance on a guy we can develop that's only 19, 20 years old. So that's the mountain that these guys have to climb. It's not a mountain that can't be climbed, but it is a steep climb.
Gerald Liddell, former Texas Longhorn, played last year at Detroit Mercy, is ready to tip it up for the Grizzlies. The Spurs will send out Ahmad Rand, who was at Milwaukee last year, blocked more than 2 shots per game for the Panthers.
Yeah, he's an absolute beast defensively, and that's the one thing with Rand that that will translate to the next level. And the other thing I looked at with Ahmad Rand is, he was getting those blocks without necessarily committing a high percentage of fouls. And if you can stay on the floor without getting in foul trouble and impact the game at the rim defensively, there's always going to be a place for you. The problem is with a lot of guys, they also, the foul trouble comes along with it. Didn't really seem to be an issue with him in college. Can he show that he can continue to have that kind of arc in his professional career? And if so, he's a guy that could work his way onto an NBA roster just because he's got the ability to protect the rim.
Has the pedigree, too. Spent a couple of years in the Pac-12 at Oregon State.
Yeah, he's well-traveled. Played a couple of years of junior college basketball as well. Memphis, Milwaukee. He's been all over. Rand is great. I love that he was asked what his career goal is. He says, make lots of money.
Don't we all?
That's pretty much everybody's career goal, right?
All right, 20 minutes on the clock. Looks like everybody's satisfied with the ball. Liddell and Rand. And we're underway at the NTX International Combine. Spurs win the opening tip. There you see the hops on Rand. It'll be Nelly Cummings out of Pittsburgh running the show for the Spurs. And here's Porter Jr. knifing his way through the lane, an early two for Craig Porter Jr. out of Wichita State.
Yeah, knifed his way right through traffic and is able to score, impacting it very early. Apparently he knew we highlighted him at the top of the broadcast.
Moore running the point for the Grizzlies. He'll take a huge volume of shots in his huge volume of minutes. Averaged 38 minutes a game for his entire career.
Yeah,
There's a three from the corner. It's
a
Marquise Godwin misses out on that one.
Defensive lapse there, Evan, by Porter, as he left him wide open, but they didn't pay for it.
This is Cameron Smith out of Cal State Bakersfield. He misses the bunny. And Rand helps the rebound out to his own team. Here's a three for Cummings. Off back iron, rebounded by Moore.
Late rotation by Rudy Williams, but again.
And another three, this time Godwin makes him pay. 42% last year at Hampton. He can shoot it with the best of them from downtown.
Yeah, that was a career high for him last year at Hampton.
Cummings dishes to Rudy Williams. And back to Moore, and they'll slow things down. Grizzlies with the early lead. Here goes Williams. Spent last year at BYU, challenging Cummings. Moore under the closeout, and the shot clock violation as his shot was blocked and never touched the rim.
And that's something these guys are going to have to make an adjustment to as well. They're so used to the 30-second shot clock in college, which they played their entire career, and now all of a sudden it's 24 seconds. It's also only 8 seconds to get the ball across midcourt, so that's an adjustment.
Sort of a hybrid of college and NBA rules here. We got the two 20-minute halves. The teams will not shoot bonus free throws until 10 team fouls. Offensive rebounds for Rand. It gets hucked out to Craig Porter Jr. Rand from the free throw line. That one rolls in for Ahmad Rand. His first two.
Yeah, Rand shot a career high 61% from the field this past season.
You always see bigs in the modern game trying to add that jump shot. That doesn't look too bad there from Ahmad Rand. That one's picked off by Porter. Craig Porter Jr. challenging Jalen Moore. Back out to Cummings for three. Well short, rebound out to Smith. He just pops it. That's good. Cameron Smith goes by Benno out of Okolona, Mississippi.
Another guy that played a couple of years of junior college ball before going to Cal State. And we're going to get the foul here on Rand.
That is the first team foul of the game. And it will send Gerald Liddell to the free throw line.
Another look here as Rand coming over. Already has impacted this game though inside. Showing off that prowess. It listed at just 6'8". Looks a little bit bigger than that.
Liddell played 3 years at Texas. He was a part-time player, then bounced around to Alabama State. Last year he broke out at Detroit Mercy, nearly averaged a double-double. 14 points and just a shade under 10 rebounds a game. He is a Texas native.
Cibolo, Texas. I don't know where that is, but Texas is a big state.
It appears to be in the San Antonio metro area.
Nice active hands there, although Smith able to get it right back, and then the end one.
Dexter Dennis will go to the line.
But credit Cameron Smith, he didn't give up on that play. And that's something you talk about what are scouts looking for, right? I mean, watch it right here. Watch the effort. The basketball is going to go the other way.
Foul is on Angelo Allegri. Dexter Dennis makes the first of two. Dennis, one of the highest pedigree players at this combine. He was the AAC Defensive Player of the Year in 2022, then went to Texas A&M and had a really nice year with the Aggies last year. He's a guy who, again, is another older player, but could very well find himself playing a nice long career.
I think most of these guys are going to have careers. It's just going to be, where is that career going to be? And you think about Peter Michael, who is one of the founders of this tournament. This is a tournament that was for a combine that was started in 2021, and Peter won 10 EuroLeague championships, so he knows what it's like to succeed at that level and knows the importance of Americans getting the opportunity to be able to be seen by those international scouts.
Michael was a very late draft pick in 2000 and went on to a long and illustrious overseas career. Couple of threes missed by the Grizzlies, the second one by Godwin, and then whistles blow on the rebound.
Loose ball foul is going to give the basketball back to the Spurs.
I think they got Liddell for that one. That's the second foul on the Grizzlies. Active hands from Allegri, picked back up by the Spurs. Deep three, it's Latrell Jones out of Nicholls State, who drills at second team All-Southland a year ago. Moore right back the other way. Offensive foul.
And that's the kind of thing that can make an impact as well. You talk about, you know, are scouts looking for team concepts? Well, that is something that, you know, you can do. Give up to, if you're showing your willingness to give up the body and get in there and do something that's going to get the basketball back, that is something that scouts will love to see.
Jones feeling good. In and out. The other way. Godwin. Grizzlies already down 7. Godwin just tries again, and he'll hit.
So now suddenly the shots are starting to fall. These guys are starting to feel a little bit more comfortable, perhaps.
Here's another three for Jones, and he's got it. Latrell Jones, 2 out of 3 from distance. He's taken that shot on their last 3 possessions.
Well, taking advantage of his opportunity right now. Shot 34% from outside the arc last season.
Here's a 3 from Jaron Holmes out of Iowa State. And Jones deep down the court. Holmes got in the way. They poke it out. Jones another 3. And he's got it. 9 points for Latrell Jones.
Really impressed by his shooting early on here.
Jones was at Portland last couple of years before going over to Nicholls State this season. He's going to try again. And the heat check bounces off the back iron. Porter fighting for the rebound, but it's going the other way.
That one was a straight-up heat check, and I kind of love it, and I kind of also don't love it. You know, it's like if you're in an actual real game, I'm all in favor of it. You've already shown you can hit some threes. Let's see what else, you know, let's see what else you can do with the basketball besides just pull up for a three.
The last 5 possessions for Team 1 have been threes from Jones, and Godwin is trading baskets with him. Godwin's got 9. Jones has 9, and it's 16-10. Rand stolen away. Rudy Williams. Williams on the break, missed the layup. Rand gets back on defense. Now in transition, Spurs.
And they're going to call the charge.
Offensive foul on Dexter Dennis. Well, that has been a lightning rod of controversy. Does the charge still have a place in modern basketball?
Oh, there's no doubt. It's anybody who thinks otherwise is really fooling themselves. I mean, he may have gotten away. It looked to me like the feet might have been set, but I thought that the body was still moving. That's a bang-bang call, though. But you know what? Hey, good job for him for giving up the body and getting the call.
Dennis picks up his first personal. Here's a deep 3 from Isaiah Sanders. That misses. Cummings the other way for Spurs. Cummings dish to Rand, and I'm not sure he was ready for it. Into a sea of white jerseys. Sanders to the baseline. Holmes kicks to an open Allegri for 3, and the lefty misses well short. Rand will watch the rebound go out of bounds.
And a nice pace here by both of these teams, getting up and down the floor. And Evan, it's not been. I was worried it might be a little bit sloppy with these guys not knowing each other all that well, but I think there's been a little bit more continuity than I was expecting.
We've seen a lot of transition, but not necessarily poorly played basketball. There's a couple of misses for Everett Hammond, and then a huge block from Rand. Now you see how he racked him up a season ago at Milwaukee, flying in to swat it away.
That's what the big fella is looking for. He's looking for his opportunity to come over and swat some shots. Now, if you're looking at it, the only downside is he swats it out of bounds. You'd love to see him swat it to a teammate so that they can go the other way. But every so often, an emphatic rejection like that will make an impact.
Allegri trying to shoot over him there, and he couldn't get it by him. Rand with the rebound. Now Cummings. And whistles blow. They're going to call the foul against Godwin. So 2 shots coming for Nelly Cummings.
And both coaches just kind of shuffling players in and out here.
It is Cummings, Porter, Dennis, Hammond, and Rand for Team 1. Moore, don't think you'll see him come out very often, along with Sanders, Allegri, Holmes, and just checking in Liddell for Godwin, who's hit 3 threes early on here. Cummings 2 out of 2. An 8-point lead, largest of the game for Team 1. And a timeout for Mo Evans and the Grizzlies.
Yeah, Mo Evans, no stranger to playing overseas, played Greece and Italy, as well as playing with a number of NBA teams during his career. Getting a chance to be a head coach here. And Sean Respert on the other side. Sean was a longtime NBA assistant coach with Houston, Memphis, Minnesota, Chicago. In fact, I had breakfast with Sean this morning, and Sean told me that he didn't realize that it just recently came onto his radar. I don't know how he didn't think about this, thinking about, making lots of money. Sean said that he didn't realize he's NBA coaches pension eligible because he had 10 years on benches in the NBA.
That's got to be a nice program.
That's good living if you can get it. In addition to your NBA players pension, because he also played the NBA. Sean Respert's still the all-time leading scorer at Michigan State.
That's incredible. All the great players that have come through that program. And guys will stay there for 4 years and play for Tom Izzo. I mean, it's not a one-and-done factory by any stretch. That's amazing.
Yeah, so, they picked a good guy to be here to help, kind of show some of these young thoroughbreds the ropes.
That's part of the allure of this tournament, right? Is that you're going to get coaching from guys who have been there, done that.
Well, and they also bring in, financial people, people from the corporate world to meet with these players to kind of let them know what the transition is going to be like going from college to the NBA or the Euro League or whatever, where you're suddenly going to be making money.
Turnover caused by the blue team as Liddell lost it out of bounds. I wonder how that will continue to evolve in the age of NIL and guys being introduced to that business side of it much earlier than they were in the past.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows the answer to that yet.
That might be the billion-dollar question.
No doubt.
Cummings at 3. He's been looking for that shot. Pulls up and hits his first. He's got 5.
And then he goes and motions that he's got ice in his veins, liking the confidence being seen here.
Cummings was at Colgate. Been upstate New York for a few years before spending a grad year at Pittsburgh.
He also was at Bowling Green for 1 year, back in 17-18.
Yep, then he had to sit for a transfer. What an archaic concept.
Yeah, he's a guy that could score off the dribble, can shoot. He's a good defender. He's a plus athlete. The knock on him, I heard from one scout, was that maybe he's a bit too unselfish, and that this is not the time to be that. He wasn't unselfish there.
No, he hasn't been so far today, that's for sure. And that's a good thing. Here's Hammond going the other way. Dumps for Rand with a big flush. Ahmad Rand showing out on both ends.
The big fella getting it done.
Allegri finds it open, and that's a much easier dunk for Angelo Allegri. He'll certainly take it.
Well, and Allegri took advantage of the fact that Rand hadn't really gotten down the floor, and that's one thing that, you can understand. You get the dunk like that, but at the same time, hey, you've got to get back down the floor. You got to hustle.
Turnover by Team 1. They've got an 11-point lead. Latrell Jones with 3 threes. 6 of their 7 players have scored. Godwin has 9 of the 12 for the Grizzlies, and Jalen Moore, who's got the ball here, is not on the score sheet yet. Averaged 20 a game last year at Oakland. Here he goes against Hammond. Dumps it down to Liddell. And Sanders, the floater, that goes. First 2 for Isaiah Sanders out of Fairmont State.
Got that away just before the shot clock was going to expire, so it's something to keep an eye on, as we mentioned.
And Hammond becomes the 7th and final Spurs player to score. Moore the other way gets bumped. That will not be a shooting foul. It is on Sanders, his first. That is 5 team fouls on Grizzlies.
I'm a little surprised they didn't call this a shooting foul. Looked to me like he had started the gather, and they, that to me in college is not a shooting foul. In the NBA, that is a shooting foul. So I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't call it the shooting foul there.
$18 on the shot clock here for the Grizzlies. It's Williams off the inbound. Lays it in.
Like the way he just kind of aggressively came and got that basketball.
Ball knocked away, and they are going to call the backcourt violation. Moore was screaming for it, and the referee acknowledges it did come off Cummings. Oh, it's another turnover for Team 1.
Jalen Moore, great job forcing that to happen.
White starting to find their way back in it. I think an errant horn there. Moore, Williams, Sanders, Godwin back in, and Liddell.
And Rudy Williams ready to inbound the basketball, calling out a play here, said angle. So these teams haven't spent a lot of time together, but they have had a chance to put in some base sets.
Moore off the handoff at 3. His first points.
The step back with confidence after he forced the steal and got the ball for his side.
Suddenly a 12-point lead down to 6. Here is Cameron Smith. Baseline jumper doesn't go. Good defense from Liddell. Moore again. Sanders tried to squeeze it through the blue jerseys to Liddell. It's picked off. Porter in transition with Dennis. Those two were college teammates for 2 years, so those are the only two guys on either roster who are familiar with each other.
Yeah, we will in the afternoon game have a couple of guys who were teammates at George Washington. Well, I guess this is the afternoon in the later afternoon
The second
game.
afternoon game. Hammond gets the 2. Now Moore a 3 off the screen. Beautifully done. Jalen Moore, back-to-back triples. He's starting to feel it. And it's a 5-point lead.
Moore was third in the Horizon League in scoring this past season, and he can light it up from anywhere on the court.
Porter the response, no good. Gets his own miss. Smith underneath, puts it in.
I like what I'm seeing out of Cameron Smith. He's done a little bit of everything in this game.
Williams against Porter. Godwin didn't catch that clean.
Yeah, and then he walked.
Yep. That looked like a catch and shoot opportunity for Godwin, and he neither caught nor shot it. It's going the other way.
He wanted to shoot it before he caught it. That was the problem.
It's the classic kick returner running with the ball before it's in his hands. Cummings across half court, going all the way in on his own, and draws a foul.
And no help defense there, really. And again, that's the kind of thing you're going to see here, right? Because Cummings clearly had his man beat, and the lane was wide open, and nobody steps up after he got the step on Moore. Nobody really stepped up to get in front of him.
We have a timeout for Sean Respert.
Each side gets 2 timeouts per half. The timeouts are not going to carry over here, Evan.
All right, well, we got a second. We'll bring Kendra Sheehan back in with some more on the hot sharpshooter helping keep the Grizzlies in this game, Marquise Godwin. Kendra?
Thanks, Evan. Yeah, Marquise Godwin out of Hampton. That's his hometown, and that's the place where he felt he got the biggest belief from the community. He said they've believed in him from the start, and he wants to do everything he can to give back to that community. He recently hosted a Season of Giving event, a toy and coat drive. It was a 4-hour event filled with food, music, and basketball. He's got a lot of these ideas for ways to give back to the community from his god brother, the Giants QB, Tyrod Taylor, who's also a fellow Hampton native. Now, Taylor puts on numerous events to benefit the city, and so Marquise Godwin often picks his brains about different ways to give back so he can help his community just as they have supported him. Evan?
Thanks, Kendra. Great story. Marquise Godwin, a young man with a lot to prove today, was at Old Dominion for a couple of years, really broke out last season as a three-point sharpshooter. 6'5", 195, Hampton, Virginia native. And looking good so far today with 9 points.
Yeah, played out of Hampton High School before going to Old Dominion and then Hampton University, and you think 40% from downtown is pretty good. That's the other thing you talk. What are scouts looking for, right? They're looking to see. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but anybody that's gone out and shot 3-pointers, the difference between the college 3 and the NBA 3, those couple of feet make a huge difference. And some guys can make that transition easily. Some guys are never able to make that transition.
Godwin has certainly made it look like there's going to be no problem for him. Cummings gets both free throws. He's up to 7 points. And the lead back out to 9 after the Grizzlies had cut it down to 5. Here's Allegri out of Eastern Washington. Goes to Liddell. Steps into a jumper over Rand and knocks it down. His first field goal.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit surprised. I thought Rand could have been a little bit more aggressive in defending that shot.
He is flashed today with big plays on both ends. Cummings loses his footing.
Yeah, great job to keep the dribble alive, but then Moore.
Jalen Moore running the break, popped up by Porter, and they get it right back. And then knocked out of bounds by Williams.
But who corralled that ball when it got free? Cameron Smith. I would say in the first 13 minutes and 10 seconds we've seen today, I think Cameron Smith has shown off the most tools in the toolbox out of anybody that's been on the floor.
We've seen him drive the lane, play good defense.
And just the hustle. That's the thing I love.
Here's Smith handling the ball against Allegri. Hands for Jones. Latrell Jones has been looking for that three. Here's another. He's got his 4th of the game. 12 points for Latrell Jones.
Extra couple of feet aren't bothering him at all.
Jones out of New Orleans. Brought his shooting boots. Moore steps out. It's a turnover. Little up and down for Jalen Moore so far in this first half.
Jalen Moore has it was kind of right when you said he hadn't scored. He kind of started getting things going, and he's done it defensively. He's done it offensively. Stepping out of bounds there, that's a mistake you don't want to see. But I also credit the defense as well. They kind of didn't give him much room to be able to go. He's got to make a better decision with the basketball, though, so he's not in that situation.
Rand along 2. Airballs it. Rebound out to Cummins. A lot of offensive rebounds on this end. We'll get those statistics at halftime, and I would imagine that disparity is leaning blue pretty heavily at this point.
Yeah, and that's a shot that, I don't know what Ahmad Rand is trying to show, but that's not really a shot that I think teams want him or expect him to be shooting. And he's going to quickly get pulled out of the game, and I have a feeling Sean Respert is telling him the same thing. Like, hey, you know what? I know you hit some threes in college, but that's not why you're here. That's not what's going to get you paid on the next level.
Smith knocks down a triple. That looked smooth as butter from Cameron Smith. Really had a nice first half here, 7 points. Here's Godwin. Jalen Moore has drawn Craig Porter Jr. Hammond out of the corner, steps into his shot, drills it. That's a 2 for Godwin, who has 11.
The shooting numbers have really caught fire for both these teams here.
Here's Jones, who has matched Godwin blow for blow. Baseline turnaround Jay is good. He's got 14.
Yeah, love that left shoulder turnaround and fire and hit.
Now Holmes from the corner. That's a little strong. And a foul on Allegri on the rebound. So Allegri's committed 3 fouls here.
The defensive effort by both of these teams has been really impressive. The scoring has been a little bit higher than I would have expected too, because the shooting has been very good as well.
Yeah, 39 points in 15 minutes for Team 1 here. Porter Jr. driving. Smith tips it in. I think he tried to go for the spectacular and ended up with the routine, but they count the same. Cameron Smith with 9. Here's Godwin to Sanders. That's a deep 3. Little short. Smith tips the rebound to Hammond.
It didn't look all that comfortable shooting that 3. It looked like he forced it up. And there's Jalen Moore again, he and Smith have been the 2 guys, I think, that have been putting on the show in this first half.
Allegri from downtown. Angelo Allegri's got 5. Former SoCon champion at UNC Greensboro. Hammond working on Holmes. Smith dumps to Jones. He can't miss right now.
Just 2 seconds on the shot clock.
Hammond hurls it up, and that would have been a violation. It's picked off by Godwin. Good defense from the Grizzlies on that trip. Now it's Moore. Jaron Holmes steps into a jumper. That's good. First 2 for Jaron Holmes, and now every player for both teams has scored here with 3:20 to go in the first half.
Nobody came over to put a hand in Holmes' face, though. So while the defensive intensity has been good, at times the execution has not been terrific.
Cummings draws another foul.
And you hope Allegri didn't turn an ankle there. He's
Yeah.
slow to get up.
Sanders helps him to his feet, and you could tell he's feeling it a little bit there. Be a 2-shot foul for Cummings. So Allegri will take a seat. Liddell back into the game. Hopefully Allegri, just a little tweak there.
It's one thing that these players fear the most coming in here is just getting banged up and then not being able to show the full repertoire of what they can do.
Especially coming into this time of year when you're really seeing events like this ramp up.
We mentioned Portsmouth was a couple of weeks ago. You've got the G League Elite coming up on May 13th, and then the NBA Combine on May 15th. So that's just a couple of weeks from now.
As the playoffs roll on, the fans of the increasing number of teams that are out start to look ahead at what's coming down the pipe. Draft lottery 2 weeks from yesterday. It's that time of year.
Yeah,
Cummings has had a nice first half. He's got 9.
And these players know, listen, most of the guys that are playing here are long shots to get drafted. They're long shots to get invited to camp. But Ahmad Rand right there saying, hey, you know what? I could defend. I can block shots.
Cummings misses a 3. Rand, you said that translates at any level, that level of athleticism and shot blocking. Rather than challenge him, Williams steps back for a jumper. Liddell gets the rebound and puts it in over Rand.
The only thing you're concerned about with Rand is the size. You know, at 6'8", and playing in Milwaukee it was great to rack up those numbers, and he did what he needed to do. But can that translate to the next level? Can he have that much of a defensive impact at the next level?
Smith misses the turnaround jumper. Nice feed from Williams. Holmes misses the layup, gets his own miss. Second try is good.
Good awareness by Holmes there. He knew Rand was there, so he went under, and he used the rim to kind of fend off Rand's ability to try and block the initial shot, and then stuck with it to get the second chance bucket.
2 minutes to go in the half. Cummings. A little bit short with the 3. Here's Williams the other way. Just an 8-point game. It was out into double figures. Now Liddell will go to the line.
Loved that quickness there out of Liddell. Got the basketball and kind of gave a little fake, like maybe he might pull up for the shot, just enough to get the defender to bite, and then he turns on the jets and gets into the lane, and he's getting himself to the line as a result.
Gerald Liddell, a former Texas Longhorn, misses well short with the first free throw.
72% for him at the free throw line last year, and that's something else. You know, hey, can you make free throws? You want to talk about something that translates. That translates from middle school to high school to college to the NBA. Yeah, the pressure might be a little bit greater, but it's the same free throw you've been taking your entire career. And you know, in today's NBA, it is. It's not acceptable to not be able to shoot free throws. You got to be an absolute stud to be able to get away with that.
You need to be quite literally the best player in the world. Giannis is about the only guy who can get away with it at this point. And that free throw shooting, it tends to be an indicator of whether you can shoot from the floor later on in your career. It's another thing that they'll look at.
Cameron Smith continuing to hustle, didn't come up with that one, but gave great effort and leads to the leak out on the other end by Liddell.
And a nice little feed from Jaron Holmes running the break there. Holmes has a nice pedigree. He was All-Atlantic 10 a couple of years ago at St. Bonaventure. 13.5 a game last year for a good Iowa State team.
Oh, great vision by Rand.
And
saw Smith in the corner.
And Smith nails the triple. Smith into double figures with 12 in the first half. Godwin just in and out with a response. Williams cleans it up. I don't think the shot clock reset there. But
no, I agree, but the play on, and then a little bit sloppy with the basketball.
Stolen by Moore. Williams 2 more, and it's a 4-point game.
Yeah, and I know that, you know, nobody really cares about the outcome of who wins, who loses here, but it is impressive that the Grizzlies have come back from 12 down.
And Sean Respert uses his second timeout that he will lose at the end of the half. maybe trying to draw something up, calm his team down here a little bit as they've let this lead kind of slip away with some sloppy play in transition.
Yeah, it's how do you close it out, right? How do you close out the half? I think a lot of these are short rosters, and these guys, they're not looking to come off the court. They want to continue to play to make an impact. But the reality is that they're going awfully hard out there, and they're only going to have a 3-minute halftime. So this is going to be an effort as you see more from Rand. I mean, Rand has been he's been a presence inside, to say the least.
Allegri, by the way, has gone back to the locker room for the Grizzlies, so they're down to 6 at the moment. Hoping it's nothing serious for Angelo Allegri, but he is not out here right now, so they have just the 6 players.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about that as I am concerned about Allegri, being okay.
Yeah.
There are a total of 30 players in this tournament. We're seeing the 2 teams that each have 7. The 2 in the later session each have 8 players on their rosters. And should Allegri not be able to play anymore in this combine, you wonder if they might shuffle the rosters a little bit. But that's a conversation for later today.
Certainly just hope to avoid that outcome and see him back out here. Well, out the timeout, Hammond throws it away on the inbound.
And credit Rudy Williams. Rudy really wasn't going to give Hammond an opportunity to be able to inbound the basketball where he was trying to look to throw it. A slight disparity here between the shot and game clock, just a tick.
Honestly, it almost looks as if the shot clock is behind the game clock. Yeah,
yes, you are correct, Evan.
Basically run this out.
Well, I wasn't wrong. I said there was a disparity. I didn't say which one was in front.
Final play, here's Liddell, missed it inside. Here goes Smith from half court.
Oh!
Almost had it.
I thought it was going to go in. The first half that he had, he did everything. Listen, Jalen Moore was good, but I don't think there's any question Cameron Smith was the best player on the court in the first half.
Smith out of Cal State Bakersfield, 12 points and a whole lot of great defense as his team won, the Spurs ahead of the Grizzlies 46-42 at halftime here at Duncanville Fieldhouse. And it was an exciting first 20 minutes, extremely high scoring, but not because the teams were lax on defense. It was just better shooting.
Yeah, I think it's because the teams were aggressive on defense. They really pushed the tempo, and we did see one shot clock violation. We saw a couple of late clock situations, but for the most part, these teams, they were hustling the ball up the floor. They were very decisive with what they were trying to do on offense. They were very active on defense, and some of the lack of execution that we did see at times on the defensive end, I think you can credit to the fact that these guys don't know each other. And you're worried. At one point, we saw Jalen Moore Jalen Moore got beat, and we saw a drive to the basket that resulted in some free throws on the other end, and nobody picked up the guy that Jalen Moore, I forget who it was that Moore got beat by. I think it was Cummings. And Cummings got past him, and Moore was beat. Nobody picked up Cummings. But when you're in this situation, you're worried about staying in front of your guy, so that makes sense. When you're playing more of a team game, you would see that not be the case.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Back here at the Duncanville Fieldhouse in just a moment. You're watching the NTX International Combine. Back at the Duncanville Fieldhouse, you saw some highlights from an exciting first half. Now we'll throw to Kendra Sheehan, who is standing by with Team 1 head coach Sean Respert.
Coach Respert, it was a high-scoring first half for a group of guys who really just started playing together just a day ago. What have you noticed about the continuity of this team so far?
You know, the biggest thing for me is just not to think so much. I think your basketball instincts are, pretty locked in from where we're at. I want them to be aggressive. I want them to play, with what they've already known. And if it matches, it matches. If not, again, we had almost a 15-point lead at one point in time. They cut it to 4, but it's more credit for them and not really that our guys aren't playing the way they're supposed to play.
Latrell Jones, the 5th year out of Nichols State, had 9 points in the first 6 minutes. What have you noticed about the way that he is attacking the basket from all different angles on the court?
Well, the one thing I know is not to judge a guy off of his pregame workout. I'll say that. We didn't get a good workout. I didn't think the guy, would be warmed up. But he came out hot, and I'm really thankful because we'd be in a different situation if it wasn't for his points.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Okay, thank you very much.
Evan, back to you.
Thanks, Kendra. Two teams after a quick halftime, right back out there to start the second half.
Yeah, I hope you didn't have to go far to get your beverage or your snack because you didn't get a whole lot of time for that.
And we'll have the second game coming up pretty shortly after the end of the first one at 3:05.
How about the shooting percentages in that first half? I mean, both teams shot it really well, 47% for the Spurs, 48%, nearly 49% for the Grizzlies. And both teams each 6 of 15 from three-point range.
Identical assist-to-turnover ratios, identical three-point numbers, as you mentioned. Here's Sanders off the miss. He hits the teardrop. Isaiah Sanders out of Fairmont State. Longtime productive player at the D2 level and another really good three-point shooter.
57% of his shots taken last year were three-point attempts.
And he hit 42% of them.
Yeah, so it was a good idea for him to shoot those.
Hammond cleans it up after Rand kind of tipped it to him. He didn't look ready for the pass, but it works out nicely for the Spurs as Hammond gets to 6 points on the game. It's Moore, Williams, Sanders, Godwin, and Liddell for the Grizzlies. Here is Williams. Liddell stepping back for 3. That's no good, and a rebound by Craig Porter Jr.
I liked Williams, though, the fact that he found the shooter in the corner and passed it to him because it looked like when he started his move, he was totally intent on getting a shot. Then out of the corner of the eye, showed off the court vision to see, hey, I got an open guy in the corner. It's a better play for me to get it to him than it is for me to take a contested shot.
Grizzlies defense forces a turnover. They looked like they tightened up on defense over the course of that first half.
Yeah, the defensive intensity has been here throughout, and the cohesiveness is starting to show a little bit more as well.
Porter Jr. with a swipe from behind. He leaks out, throws it in.
Skies for the dunk, loving it.
Just 2 points in that first half for Craig Porter Jr., but he had 5 assists, and that right there is his second steal.
You know, we mentioned how he had 10 steals in Portsmouth, tying the 70-year record for that tournament. And think about the names that have come through Portsmouth.
Yeah, that's incredible. He is a stat stuffer in every category. Liddell working on Rand again. Goes over him, shot clock violation. Dexter Dennis, long 2, way off. Porter Jr. nearly won his team a rebound they had no business getting. Instead, it's a transition chance. Sanders missed the dunk but got fouled.
And he's slow to get up. You hope he's okay. They're already down Allegri.
And Sanders took a shot there, but he is helped to his feet. Yeah, Allegri did not come back out. And just certainly hoping that he is all right and did not suffer anything serious here.
Here's another look at Sanders. He just really took a lot of contact with the body and looked like maybe he got kneed in a sensitive area as well.
He's going to take the free throws. First is no good. Grizzlies are now 2 of 5 from the line for the game. Spurs made all 8 of their free throws in the first half. 6 out of 6 for Nellie Cummings. Sanders makes the second.
Sanders out of Sicklerville, New Jersey. You're a New Jersey native. Any familiarity with Sicklerville?
None. And New Jersey is a wild state in that there are just hundreds of tiny little towns created by the political machine there over the years. I could get really into that if you want, but I don't think that's what our viewers are looking for. Williams misses a 3. It's rebounded by Latrell Jones.
Does sound like a name that was made up over some cocktails, though. Let's call our town Sicklerville.
It'll stay with the Spurs, knocked out of bounds by Liddell, but more active hands from Jalen Moore on that side of the floor. Moore actually the last to touch that one. Hammond inbounding. Looking for Dennis. He's got it.
Dennis played the fewest minutes of anybody in that first half, trying to capitalize on his minutes here.
Missed the mid-range jump shot and tapped out by Cameron Smith. Yeah, Dennis comes in here with a good amount of hype. His former Conference Defensive Player of the Year at Wichita State when he was Craig Porter Jr.'s teammate. Had a really good year last year in the SEC at Texas A&M. More nice no-look feed, and it's a block for Hammond. Everett Hammond down low takes it away from Holmes.
Yeah,
now Jones the other way for 2.
And Hammond read that the entire way to set that up. He was just kind of waiting. Even though that was a nifty pass by Moore, Hammond stayed home and was in position to make that block.
Everett Hammond was one of the best shooters in college basketball last year, 46%. There's a long 2 for Godwin, who couldn't miss in the first half. That bounces out. We'll have a foul on the rebound.
And then they call it on Cameron Smith for pushing off. Indeed, they did.
Yep. That's a second team foul on the Spurs. We'll go into Jaron Holmes. Holmes driving on Dennis. Lays it in. We see the burst that got him significant playing time at Iowa State last year. 13.5 a game for the Cyclones. Cummings. Latrell Jones has the game-high 15 points. Smith, step back 3. In and out. And another foul on the rebound.
And again, Smith doing the little things, right? He set the screen, and then he made himself available for that jump shot. It doesn't go in, but good awareness for him to know. And he, at one point, looked like he might roll, but he realized the defender was ready for that, so he stepped back and made himself available for the catch-and-shoot 3.
Foul was on Sanders. Porter Jr. passes around the closeout, then throws it in. Nice little tandem play between the former teammates, Porter Jr. and Dennis. There's a little glimpse of what that familiarity can do for you.
Yeah, and Porter Jr. been playing at a high level for a long time. He won a national title at the junior college level as well, so he's seen the top of the mountain.
Vincent in Indiana before going to Wichita State. "6'2", but he can fly. Here goes Cummings. The help comes this time. They dump it down to Smith. Dishes. Hammond open for 3. Off the back iron, rebounded by Liddell. Williams the other way. Williams up and over, will go to the line.
Yeah, Hammond a little bit too aggressive that time.
First foul on Everett Hammond.
And it's the swipe down that's going to get you there. You're already in a bad position because you're beat in terms of where you are on the floor, but then you go for the swipe down.
Rudy Williams, sort of the modern collegian, started his career at Northeastern Oklahoma A&M, then went to Kansas State for a year, then Coastal Carolina, where he had a tremendous year last year, and then this past year at BYU as their 6th man. Was the first player in program history to have 3 25-point games off the bench. He is a microwave scorer. Gets both free throws to get to 8 points in this one.
That is the prototypical player in today's college game now.
Shot clock at 4. Porter Jr. around the closeout. He missed it. Smith tips it up. That's no good. Now Hammond draws the foul.
And a whole lot of blue jerseys there in the paint to come up with that rebound. And, you know, if I'm Mo Evans, I'm asking, why isn't anybody boxing out?
Call that on Liddell. Everett Hammond hasn't made a 3 yet, but he's certainly shown a lot of why he got into 142 games in his college career.
133s last season, and he shot 41.5%. That was a career high in terms of the attempts for him last year, 130 attempts and 41.5%. Maybe he should have taken more shooting at that percentage.
That's what, about 4 a game?
That's about right. Yeah,
do a
4
little more
games.
than that. Here's the rebound to Godwin, who knocks down the mid-range jumper. Godwin out to 13 points on the game. Hammond, there's his 3.
Yeah, and that's just a defensive lapse right there as Hammond was wide open.
$11 for Hammond. Now he pokes it away. That went out of bounds. Off of Sanders. Hammond forces a turnover. Gets a nice high five from Sean Respert.
Yeah, that defensive effort there out of Hammond forces the turnover. And again, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that kind of pressure and that kind of intensity out of these players. And they've not disappointed so far here today.
Williams takes a seat. Jalen Moore back in. Here goes Cameron Smith. High floater picked up by Rand.
It's got to be about the 3rd or 4th dunk for Rand here this afternoon.
Yep, he's got 6 points, all on dunks.
Yep.
Blocks in that first half as well. One that was pretty spectacular. Porter Jr. another steal. His 3rd of the game. Ahead to Hammond. Lays it back for Porter Jr. with a flush. Already 6 second-half points and a couple of steals for Craig Porter Jr.
And sometimes the non-sensational play is the right play. He could have tried to be selfish and get a shot up, but he had the trailer. And why not hit him for the easy dunk instead of trying to see if you can beat man and force a shot for yourself?
We've got an injury update on Angelo Allegri, who left the game in the first half. Kendra Sheehan has more. Kendra?
However, Mohammed did not rule him out for the combine. He said they're just going to monitor it closely, see how much weight he can put on it, see how much pain tolerance he has, and then they'll move forward from here. But he's definitely out for the rest of the game today. Evan?
Thanks, Kendra. That is disappointing news, but hopefully we can see him back out here later this week.
Although not much time, as tomorrow is the last day of the combine. So disappointing for Angelo, no question.
Take a look at Craig Porter Jr. It was a pretty quiet first half for him from a scoring perspective, but you see just everything he does well. He's always involved on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, he had a triple-double back in February against Tulane, only the 2nd player ever in Wichita State history to amass a triple-double. So, you know, you talked about he can do a little bit of everything. He's got a 34.5-inch vertical leap. It was the highest recorded in Portsmouth. So he's got some ups. He really wants to get to the Las Vegas Summer League so he can show what he can do.
He'd be a perfect player in that environment.
Yeah,
you think about that, you know, he's that's a dream spot for kind of an undersized guard with a lot of athleticism to show off. Godwin foot on the line too is good. Marquise Godwin has shot the lights out here.
Nice job trapping.
And a steal for Williams. Great defense from the Grizzlies, and right out of the timeout, Mo Evans' team picks up 4 quick points. Williams into double figures. More tight defense, and Cummings can't hold that in. Rand throws it away.
I like the fact that they have turned up the defensive intensity, and they're getting some turnovers as a result, and suddenly they're back within striking distance on the scoreboard.
You got to think there's fatigue setting in as well. Only 6 players, and there was no halftime essentially, so.
I don't think these guys care. You know, listen, they're not exactly kids, but they're still pretty young.
Yeah. Moore step back triple, well short. Cummings with the defense. Porter Jr. the rebound.
And I think that was one of those where, you know what, that NBA distance, I'm not going to say that the length.
Oh, the lob from Smith to Rand.
Oh, Ahmad Rand is a beast inside in this game.
A bit of touch on that lob from Cameron Smith, too.
Cameron's
Done a little bit of everything today.
He really has. Going back to that 3, though, that set everything up, and we talked about the distance, right? I don't know that the distance is why Moore necessarily missed the shot in terms of being too far, but he looked down at the floor before he shot the 3 because he wanted to make sure he was behind the NBA line, so it's not second nature to him yet where that line is. It's second nature to dunk it, though, for Ahmad Rand, that's for sure.
Yeah, the hoop doesn't get any higher at the NBA level. Hammond checking back in for the Spurs. Hammond driving. Runs into a wall, and they'll call a foul. Bail him out a little bit. Liddell got tied up with him, his second. 3 team fouls on both sides. They're really just letting them play here. That 10-shot bonus has not ever really threatened to come into play. Holmes checking in for Sanders for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, and they will be an NBA-type rule with the second foul in the final 2 minutes puts you into the penalties if they're not, you know, at that number of 10 already.
Wiping off the floor there after Liddell and Hammond went down.
So happy for Sean Resberg getting this opportunity to coach here. Calls Houston home. Just a real good guy, and just a really smart coach.
Stolen by Godwin. Craig Porter Jr., and then they give it right back. Hammond lays it in. Dexter Dennis with the effort. Hammond's got 12. Now bodies flying everywhere on the other end. It'll go out to Moore.
Yeah, no call there.
And then Moore gets fouled clearly by Dennis.
Latrell Jones was trying to draw a charge. The officials didn't bite. They're letting him play a little bit.
Chance for these guys to show what they can do. Quietly, Spurs have built the lead back out to 12. This is about as large a lead as they have had in this game.
I think 12 was the high in the first half.
Yep.
So
Grizzlies got it down to 4 at halftime, but they have not been able to get any closer than that. Another stoppage here to wipe off the floor. Williams to inbound. Porter Jr. against Moore. It's been a fun matchup today. The switch to Hammond. Down low Williams. Turn around, kick out. Holmes a 3. That is short. Goes off both ends of the rim and the top of the backboard.
I liked the ball movement, though, to be able to get it around and get that open look.
Hammond blocked from behind by Holmes, but a foul. That might have been coming down, but they call Jaron Holmes. 2 shots coming for Hammond.
Yeah, and a lot of contact. I'm just happy to see Hammond be able to jump right back up. Hammond's been living at the line here in this second half.
He's up to 12 points for the game. He has not missed a free throw. The whole team has not missed a free throw. I believe I've got him at 13 for 13.
Well, you know what's going to happen right now, don't you?
I have mystical powers, Dave. You got to understand. We'll see if they work. But now that you've called it out, it may not work.
Well, all broadcasters have mystical powers. It seems to always work. Let's see. I'm hoping it doesn't work.
Everett Hammond survives. 14 for the former UMass Lowell man. Also a former Spartan of USC Upstate.
Torrey Craig has made a nice living for himself in the NBA coming out of USC Upstate.
That's right. Hammond originally out of the D.C. area, Silver Spring, Maryland. As Rand with a elementary steal there, a little bit of an ambitious pass. Dennis working on Moore, has got the size advantage, but hands it off to Cummings. And Jalen Moore is a dog. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's another lob to Rand, this time from Cummings.
And you'd think by now somebody would know they need to keep a body on Ahmad Rand.
He's got 10 points entirely on dunks. Here's Moore, 3, short, and now this one getting out of hand for Mo Evans' Grizzlies team. Dennis on the other end.
It's been a dunk line. Shades of Phi Slam a jam all of a sudden here.
Williams just drives into the teeth of the defense, draws a foul on Dennis, his third.
Well, if I'm a scout right now, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, nobody here is really concerned about what the score is or what the result of the game is, but you do want to see, what kind of grit do these players have? Are they going to find a way to be able to chip back into this thing and make it interesting, or are they just kind of going to become disinterested here down the stretch? And that works both ways too, right? Because you've got the big lead. You don't want to become comfortable and just be like, I don't think that's going to be a problem though right now for Team One, the Spurs, because they've been focused throughout, and these guys they know that they're still scouts there watching to see what they can do.
Yeah, and they've got so much on the line here this week. It's unlikely, I think, you'd see that intensity fall away. Williams makes both. He's now tied with Godwin for the team lead in points with 12. Dennis working on the big man, Liddell. Step back jumper over him, missed everything, but Jones flies in for the rebound.
They did reset the shot clock. Doesn't matter, as then they get a second shot back up off the rim.
Liddell behind the back, blocked from behind by Porter Jr. Well, now you see how a guy at 6'2" picks up a block and a half a game.
Yeah, well, not a lot of guys have a 34.5-inch vertical either. I mean, he's able to get up and get that basketball out of the air from behind.
Rebound down to Cummings. Down to Cameron Smith. Draws the double. They whip it around to Porter Jr. Smith out of the corner, driving baseline. Puts it up.
And that's
and
just,
count the basket and a foul.
That's great awareness by Cameron Smith. He first the move to get to the basket on the baseline, and then he saw the defender sitting up there to try to take the charge, and at the last second he changes his body angle, so instead of going right into him and having it be a charge, it's a glancing blow, and he gets the block and he gets a chance for an and one.
Foul is on Sanders, his second. Smith now tied with Latrell Jones for the game high, 15 points. He's a big body out there, 6'7", 205. He's got long arms.
Those were the first 3 points of the second half for Smith.
They were. Godwin misses the three. Porter Jr. the board. The lead out to 19. It's a 13-2 run for Team One. Here goes Hammond. That one a little short in traffic.
Nice job staying in front there by Hammond. He didn't give Sanders any room to get into the paint.
The missed three, and Hammond another rebound. And Sean Respert wants to use timeout with 7 minutes to go.
I think this timeout more than anything is A, a breather, and B, a chance to substitute in, give these guys a chance to be able to collect themselves with such short bench. And I'm sure Mo Evans' team isn't minding either, as they've only got 6 players available.
Pretty much every player on this Team 1 roster has flashed at some point. Been a really nice day for Nelly Cummings out of Pittsburgh. For more on him, let's go to Kendra.
Thanks, Evan. Nelly Cummings has been chasing his basketball dreams while also laying the foundation for his younger brother, Brandon. See, the Cummings brothers grew up rooting for Pittsburgh. In fact, they had a Nerf hoop in their bedroom, and they would shoot buckets with a Pitt basketball. Now, transferring in for his grad year, Nelly Cummings was able to fulfill that university dream and playing for the school that he grew up rooting for. But after graduating, he's decided he is passing the torch down to his brother, who recently became the first member of the class of 2024 to commit to Pitt. Nelly Cummings saying, "If I don't lay the foundation, then what did I do as a big brother?" Evan?
Well, the Panthers fans will love that. Pittsburgh out of the ACC now. The Cummings family from Midland, Pennsylvania, outside of the city.
Still doesn't seem right to me, Pitt in the ACC.
Isn't it weird?
And, I mean, I know it's been a decade now.
I was at Syracuse when Syracuse and Pitt moved to the ACC. My first 2 years they were in the Big East. It just hasn't been the same.
And
I miss it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but that last year that they were in the Big East, that might have been the best year of Big East basketball ever.
It was absolutely incredible. They went to the Final Four that year and went to the tournament final as well. They lost to Louisville with the national champions. There's a missed three by Jones.
Jones was looking for contact on the three-point try, but the officials weren't going to give it to him.
Williams, he gets the free throws. Rudy Williams has been to the line a few times here in the second half.
Yeah, I was just going to say Rudy Williams has really gone into traffic, and I'll tell you what, I don't know if Rudy Williams has read any of the scouting reports that are out there for his NBA analysis, but one of the cons on him is they say he struggles in traffic. He's been getting into traffic a lot here in this game, trying to show off his ability to be able to make things happen inside.
How much are you paying attention to all that noise as a player in this situation where there's so much out there now? I mean, if you Google yourself, any of these guys can find a million people's opinions of them. How do you tune that out and just focus on what you need to do to improve?
Well, listen, I think that, you probably need to have some awareness of what your weaknesses are, but I don't think you want to take those weaknesses from just anybody. The difference is if you're reading it from actual bona fide pro scouts or you're hearing it from coaches, then you need to actually pay attention to that noise. You need to say, okay, this is an area I need to work on. Is Smith unable to get it to go? But the flip side is you can't focus on it too much because you can't get obsessed with it and let it affect your game.
How about that from Williams, driving into the teeth of the defense, picking up the and one. He's got 16 and a chance for one more.
I'll turn it around like this, Evan, right? I mean, we've both been in broadcasting for a while, and if there's an article about a team you're covering and you go to the comments section, you're probably not going to see things that are going to want to make you sleep well at night. I don't care if you're Bob Costas or Al Michaels or if you're Evan Weston or Dave Benz. There's always going to be haters out there. But if it's someone that if it's a mentor of yours or if it's someone that you admire and respect and they're saying, hey, I see that you're doing this, you can do it better. Then that's different. Then you need to focus on that and take that to heart. And I think when you're hearing that feedback from scouts, you probably need to at least go to your coaches and say, hey, do you agree with this? Is this an area I need to work on? How do I make that better?
Rudy Williams, whatever he's taking to heart is working. He's got 11 second half points, 17 for the game. That is now the most of any player on either team. Williams out of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Now looking to make his way into professional basketball.
And how about Williams right there? Just a little thing, denied the basketball.
Jones couldn't miss in the first half. He's had a tough time here in the second. Holmes the other way. Holmes.
Oh!
Rand in the foul.
Oh! Flexing some muscle.
Jaron Holmes is well built, 6'4", 210, out of Romulus, Michigan, and he just threw one down over Ahmad Rand.
This worth another look. The handle and the ferocity. That got some oohs and ahs out of this crowd here.
There's a murmur in the building now after that one. Jaron Holmes hits the free throw. He's got 9. Really great college career for him. Another guy who started at community college, went to a mid-major, finished his career at a high major. That was a really good NCAA tournament team this year in Iowa State. Jones draws contact. This time he'll get the call.
Jones did a nice job of not picking up that pivot foot. Gerald Liddell needed to stay home a little bit more on that, and that's what Mo Evans was saying. You make the smart play.
So here's a chance for Spurs to end the Grizzlies' 9-0 run here. And Jones hits the first of 2.
Yeah, aside from that flurry to close out the first half out of the Grizzlies, this thing has been all Spurs.
Yeah, really right from the start they got out to that 10, 12-point lead. Built it right back up at the start of the second half. Jones misses the second. Rand gobbles up the offensive rebound, but his floater is wild. Liddell picks up the board.
And Rand is lucky there he didn't get called for a cheap foul. You know, that's the thing that you don't want to see. You get beat on a play, maybe make an effort to try to get the ball back, but you can't complicate it by making a sloppy foul just because you're frustrated.
Here's Holmes, little runner, that's good. Holmes out to 11 points. He was pretty quiet in the first half. Another guy like Williams starting to stand out near the end here. Ten on the shot clock here for Cummings. The former Pitt Panther finds Hammond.
And they had Cameron Smith wide open in that left corner, sitting there for about 8 seconds trying to get the attention of his teammates. Nobody found him.
The Grizzlies can't get the rebound. Smith, second try, no good. And it's picked off by Hammond as Williams tried to get out. He misses the shot.
Was that Smith that knocked it free?
And Holmes, Rand gets a little measure of revenge there.
Yeah, I think Rand might have got away with. He might have used the left hand to kind of push off.
I was a little surprised we didn't hear a whistle there. There's Smith with the fadeaway, and his shot has just not quite been there in this second half. Williams, two
Wow.
more.
Williams is looking just fine, like he can get through traffic in this game.
He's got 19, and the lead is down to 8 with 3:42 to go. So a 19-point cushion has been taken down to just 8 points here, and there's plenty of time for Mo Evans' squad here. I think you've got to be impressed with the fight back they've shown, especially considering they're down a player.
Yeah, they really have fought back. You know, going back to Williams, though, here's the biggest question with Rudy Williams, and this is something he really can't control. Listed at 6'2". I don't know if that – I think that's a generous listing to begin with. Does he have the ability to be able to be a point guard at the next level? He's a little bit too small and undersized to be a shooting guard. So that's the thing that he needs to show the scouts. He needs to show the scouts that he has the ability to be able to handle, and he's done a great job of it today, showing off the handle and showing off the ability to generate offense in traffic.
Rudy Williams, 19 points. We haven't really seen him shoot either. He's not really taken many threes. He was a dead-eye shooter last season at Coastal Carolina. Shot 45% from 3. That number went down a little bit at BYU, but still really good outside shooter who is maybe trying to prove that he can handle the ball here and get inside the defense and set things up for his teammates. We've seen him hit some open shooters as well.
Well, and the other question is, can he defend against quicker guards? And, you know, he's been in the middle of forcing some turnovers here in this one.
It's like a full court press. Oh, maybe not.
They were setting up like they
Yeah.
might try something.
Out of the timeout, it's Cummings. 3.5 minutes to play. Nelly Cummings driving on Moore. Can't get by him. Moore goes down. The shot is good and no call either way.
Yeah, Cummings wanted the foul, and Cummings had his mind made up the whole way that he was going to get a shot for himself. And if you get into that mindset, you better hit it, and he did get it to go.
Those are his first two of the second half. Here's Williams again. Dumps it down low, and it's picked off by Rand. Intended for Holmes. Porter Jr. on the break, throws it away. Jones was not quite ready for it.
I think he was ready for it. I think it was, you know, a misanticipation. I think he might have been thinking he might flare out to take a three, but whatever it was sloppy, and keeps hope alive here for the Grizzlies.
Rolled it out to Moore. And letting Williams run the show here. Rudy Williams. Step back jumper. That's well off. Liddell the offensive rebound. Williams takes it to the corner for three. That's no good. And a rebound by Hammond.
The three's not dropping the way they were early in this game.
No, you're absolutely right about that. The first half, we were paced for 90 points.
Smith had Rand, but overthrows him.
Godwin a deep three. That's no good. It's definitely been sloppier, especially from the Spurs after they built out that huge lead down the stretch here. I think you're definitely seeing some fatigue set in.
Yeah, they kind of have coasted on it.
Porter Jr. Jones. He draws Godwin, 2 to shoot, pulls up, way off, and it's a shot clock violation. Just hasn't been a whole lot of offense on this end over the past 5 or 6 minutes.
No, there certainly has not, and I think it's gotten more sloppy, which I'm a little bit surprised. It started off, I think, a little bit tighter than this, and I don't know if it's because of the margin that the teams have kind of gotten a little bit lackadaisical.
Williams draws another foul. So that'll be the first in the last 2 minutes. And in fact, it's the 10th overall on the Spurs. So Williams is going to shoot 2 bonus free throws. Get a chance to get himself a 20-point game to open up his combine.
I think he'll be pretty happy with the way that he's played. He's going to look good on the tape for the scouts. Just a solid all-around effort. You know, the one takeaway I would have right now, Evan, is as impressive as Cameron Smith was in the first half, the second half he's really not been a factor. And is that the adjustments that were made to be able to shut him down during that brief halftime, or you know, is it that he hasn't been as focused as he was in that first half?
It was Everett Hammond who really carried the Spurs out to that big lead, and then the contributions from Porter Jr. as well. There is Porter Jr., tipped into the air by Liddell. It'll stay with Blue here with 14 to shoot. And it looks like they should have enough cushion here to hang on, but it would help if they could make a bucket or two. Really close this out. It's been kind of a limp to the finish from
White
Team
flag
1.
not being waved by
No.
any stretch.
No, I think Mo Evans has got to be happy with his guys. Down 19 with about 10 minutes to go, fighting back here. 10 to shoot Hammond. Wants the screen from Smith. Hammond gets it back. Got to put up a shot. Smith lets it fly. No good. Rebound picked up by Smith. He got his own miss.
Nobody has a better idea where that ball's going than the shooter, and he followed it to perfection.
Dennis, a corner three. In and out. Another offensive rebound for Smith.
And right as I say it, Cameron Smith suddenly hasn't as big of an impact. He makes a couple of big plays.
And Dennis hits the dagger from the corner. That should just about do it. First three-pointer for Dexter Dennis. Jalen Moore will pick up two more. His first two of the second half.
Yeah, he was quiet in the second half as well. You know what that Dexter Dennis three did too, Evan? It probably got Mo Evans to say, you know, we're not going to try to foul to get back into this game.
Porter Jr. gets bumped. Two shots coming with the foul by Sanders. Rudy Williams, 21 points, but a balanced effort on the other side. 16 for Latrell Jones, 15 for Smith, 14 for Hammond.
So who's your vote for player of the game in this one, Evan? I mean, even though he was quiet in the second half, I still think I'm going to go with Cameron Smith because he kind of set the tone, and he in that last little stretch there, getting those offensive rebounds, I think was big as well.
Yeah, he was really, really good. I'll tell you what, Porter Jr. is not going to get into double figures here, but he's just impacts everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's been good. Rand has been good when he played within what he's here to do. The couple of times he tried to make things happen that are not part of his game.
I think Williams on the other end deserves a shout.
He might be the player of the game overall, even though his side isn't going to win.
That's going to count for 3 and the foul. So Williams, if he makes his free throw and he hasn't missed one yet, will get to 25 points.
If he makes it, he'll make it a 2-possession game. So I don't know if you're Mo Evans, do you foul? I mean, you're certainly going to go for the pressure and try to come up with a steal.
They're calling a foul, and they do. Porter Jr. will shoot the 2.
And that's the difference between that being a 3-point play and a 4-point play, right? Because a 3-point play is still a 3-possession game. We're probably not going to foul at this point, but now it's a 2-possession game. You're sending Porter to the free throw line.
Porter just went 1 out of 2.
Not great last year, 68% from the line.
No, not an overall strength of his many, many strengths. He gets there a lot based on the style he plays. And the first is good. They are 1-and-1s here, these bonus free throws, so that makes it even more palatable to try and foul here down the stretch. He missed the second, but it is a 3-possession game with that first one going in, and then Smith just knocks the ball away to run some clock. Here's Williams again, another running 3. That one in and out. Dunked in by Sanders. Isaiah Sanders with a splash play at the end. They get it all the way down to 5, but Sean Respert's Spurs hold on to knock off Mo Evans Grizzlies 84-79. A really fun first game featuring a lot of really impressive performances here at the NTX International Combine.
Yeah, and I don't know if that Isaiah Sanders putback dunk was better than the Jaron Holmes dunk. In fact, I know that it wasn't, but it was pretty fun to watch. And now both of these teams, they've got the rest of their night off. But they put on a show. That was an awfully fun game.
We'll have game 2 coming up momentarily. The other 2 teams have been warming up on the other courts as this game has run a little bit longer than anticipated.
Not bad, though. The second game was an estimated tip-off of 3 o'clock local, and we're at 2:58, so we're a couple minutes behind, but not too bad.
Let's go over to Kendra Sheehan, who's standing by with Dave's player of the game, Cameron Smith.
Got to spit the gum out for the interview. We have Cameron Smith here. He had 14 total points, 12 of those coming in the first half. How were you able to get to the rim in a variety of ways to score such a big number in that first half?
I was just being aggressive. I mean, I was telling my guards to, attack the ball screen. The guards on the defensive end was letting them get downhill. So I just give that credit to my guards. They just found me in good spots, and I was able to make a play.
There were a few times in that second half where this team went on a few dry spells, scoring droughts, and you guys were able to maneuver some plays. How were you able to facilitate some of the ball movement or to get other guys involved to break those scoring droughts?
Just telling the guys to slow down and just getting sets because we got out of sets. We fell into a lull, and it's my job. I feel like I'm a leader, a natural born leader. So I just try to rally the guys in and tell them to slow down and just get in sets and play ball. All those guys come from great collegiate level players, and I just let them do their thing. I just sit back and I just do my job.
Your story from a basketball perspective is incredible, but also what you do for your community back home and the way that you were able to raise money to repave the basketball courts in your hometown. How big of an opportunity is this for you to live out your basketball dreams and also provide more of an opportunity to give back to the community that supported you?
Man, first of all, I just give thanks to God. I come from a small town, as you can see. I just give him the grace and the honor just to be in this position. And, my hometown support me tremendously. Like right now, they're watching back at home. So, I just try to be the best human being as possible that I can be because, once the basketball ends, you got to have another life. So I just try to, be whatever God makes, his will to be done. I just try to bring it to the court and spread positive energy.
Thank you. Shout out to the Northern Mississippi fans who are watching. Thank you so much. Good luck in the next game tomorrow.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, man.
Absolutely. Evan, back to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kendra. Okolona, Mississippi's own Cameron Smith. A terrific game as his team defeats team number 2, 84-79. That is your final from the Duncanville Fieldhouse. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay here. Keep the stream open in your browser window. We'll have game number 2 as Melvin Hunt's Sixers take on Mike James's Rockets in the second game of our doubleheader here on day 1 of the NTX International Combine. For Kendra Sheehan and Dave Benz, I'm Evan Weston signing off. We'll see you in just a few moments for game number 2. Stick around.